Good evening and welcome to the news roundup for Monday, May 8th. Before we get into the news, please remember to like this video, share your views in the comments, and share the video with your family and friends.
Teach them! Always make sure the message reach them!
Now for the news in detail. Roshan Nemard, the trainee pilot who was a passenger in the plane that crashed in St. Mary, is in stable condition. The crash, which claimed the life of Major Dudley Beak, occurred on Friday morning. Nemard is a full-time student at the Aeronautical School of the West Indies, and both men were flying from Tinsupen to the Ian Fleming International Airport when the aircraft crashed. The Jamaica Constabulary Force is mourning the loss of a 30-year-old District Constable Ricardo Jarrett, who was shot and killed by unknown assailants in Western Kingston early on Sunday morning. Reports suggest that Jarrett was allegedly dropping off a female when he was attacked and shot by several armed men and his firearm stolen. He was rushed to hospital but was pronounced dead on arrival.
Well, the investigation continues. I'm pleased with the speed at which it is going at this time. It's still in its embryonic stage, but we are working closely together with the Major Investigations Division. Already we have identified at least 2 individuals that we're interested in speaking to in relation to this murder, and we're searching for them. Everyone who was in the vehicle has been found and is being interviewed by the detectives. 4 persons would have been in the vehicle, to include the deceased officer.
A member of the Jamaica Constabulary Force, Constable Ramon Evans, died in a fiery crash on the Edward Seaga Highway on Sunday. He was driving a private vehicle from Caymanas to Angels outside Spanish Town after completing duties when he lost control of the vehicle, which exited the roadway into a ditch where it subsequently burst into flames. The lawman was trapped in the vehicle and efforts to save him failed. The car was burnt beyond recognition.
Young Evans is from a rather large batch that came to us just last year. His squad mates are quite, somewhat, I would say, devastated with the sudden loss. He was such a promising young police officer. He was doing quite well, and to see him losing his life in such a tragic manner.
Retired Senior Superintendent of Police Delroy Hewitt has passed away after a period of illness. Hewitt was a well-known and respected crime fighter, spending over 40 years in the constabulary and rising through the ranks to become a Senior Superintendent of Police in 2011. The police in St. Ann are investigating the murder of 38-year-old Everard Williams, also known as Mikey, who was killed outside his home in Brownstown early on Monday morning. Wilson had just returned from an entertainment event when gunshots were heard outside his residence. Upon investigation, the police found his body on the veranda. The motive for the murder is currently unknown. A man identified as Roger Sterling was shot and killed during a confrontation with the police in Flankers, St. James, in the early hours of Monday morning. Police had gone to a section of Flanker with a warrant in search of a man when Sterling allegedly opened fire on the team. The police reportedly returned fire and Sterling was hit. He was taken to the hospital where he was pronounced dead. An illegal firearm was allegedly recovered after the shooting. The Independent Commission of Investigation, INDECOM, has started to probe the incident. A woman identified as Shanna Burke was found dead with multiple stab wounds in the bathroom of the JB Hideout Bar in the Ocherius Market in St. Ann on Saturday night. Burke, a bartender from Buckfield, was discovered by the bar owner, who became concerned when she did not return from the bathroom. The police were called and the crime scene detectives cleared and processed the area. Burke was later pronounced dead at hospital. 2 men were shot and injured in the Brownstown Market in St. Ann when a masked man opened fire on a food vendor around 6 a.m. on Saturday. An employee of the St. Ann Municipal Corporation was also hit by a bullet. Chaos ensued as vendors and shoppers ran for cover. The shooter managed to escape. One of the injured men is in critical condition having sustained injuries to his upper body and leg. Leroy Nelson, a 33-year-old man from Rosal district in Freetown, Clarendon, was fatally shot in Newtown on Saturday morning. He was found lying in a pool of blood with multiple gunshot wounds to his head and upper body. The police were summoned to the scene after residents heard numerous gunshots. Crime scene detectives found 26 spent casings at the scene, but no suspect have been identified and no motive has yet been established for the killing. Nelson was pronounced dead at the Mapen Hospital and transported to the morgue. The Island Traffic Authority, ITA, has addressed public concerns over the Road Traffic Act and its regulations. The ITA clarified that parents with a driver's license can still teach their children to drive, and motorists over the age of 70 will not need to undergo a driving test, but will need to submit a medical report every 3 years for a license renewal. The ITA will not begin prosecuting driving instructors and schools that are not certified until next year. A committee of the National Road Safety Council is currently reviewing complaints and suggestions about the regulations for submission to Cabinet. According to a study conducted by the University of the West Indies and the Ministry of Health and Wellness, the majority of Jamaicans have been infected with COVID-19 since the pandemic started 3 years ago. This study, which was conducted last year following the surge of infections from the Omicron variant, found that 77% of the 1,540 people tested had signs of infection. Professor Peter Figueroa, who led the study, noted that most people who have contracted the virus have been asymptomatic. He also stated that public education in Jamaica should be geared toward the elderly and those with comorbidities, with the virus now endemic and expected to continue to mutate. On Friday, the World Health Organization declared that COVID-19 is no longer a global health emergency, but emphasized that it is still a significant threat. 37-year-old farmer Nicholas Richards was shot and killed inside his home in Macook's Pen, Spanish Town, St. Catherine, early on Saturday morning. Residents reportedly heard gunshots and called the police, who found Richards' body inside the house with multiple gunshot wounds. No motive has yet been identified for the murder. An attempted robbery at a bar in Stevens Run in the Nain Police area in St. Elizabeth resulted in a shootout involving a licensed firearm holder and the police, which left one robber dead and his accomplices wounded. The men demanded money and one of them hit another man at the bar with a firearm after their demand was not met. The complainant managed to escape and call for help, which prompted the licensed firearm holder to challenge the robbers in a shootout. A police team responded and another shootout occurred. 3 men were found suffering from gunshot wounds, with one being pronounced dead and the other 2 admitted in serious but stable condition. 1 pistol and a magazine were seized, and a bullet-damaged white Subaru was found abandoned nearby. The St. Ann Criminal Investigations Branch is seeking Shanak Williams of Runaway Bay as a person of interest in the case of her missing boyfriend, taxi operator Jevon Dickinson. Dickinson has been missing since May 1, and the police believe that Williams may be able to provide information to help the investigation. Williams was asked to report to the St. Anne's Bay CIB by May 7th, but has not honored the request. Anyone with information on her or Dickinson's whereabouts is being urged to contact the police. 5 defendants in the Institute of Sports fraud case have each been granted bail of $500,000 by Supreme Court Judge Justice Leighton Pusey. The defendants, O'Neill Hope, Rudolph Barnes, John Eat Mills, Andrea Picton, and Shireen Farquharson, appeared in court on Friday. However, the bail application for former financial controller Andrew Wright will continue on May 15. All 6 defendants are scheduled to return to court on July 5th. The defendants are accused of defrauding InSport of $222 million through writing, signing, and encashing fraudulent checks. The fraud and other irregularities were discovered by InSports in 2017 during an examination of its financial records. Menelek Youngsman, also known as One and Ready, was initially a person of interest for the Clarendon Police, but is now wanted for several crimes committed in the Clarendon Police Division. He is considered armed and a danger to residents and police personnel in the parish. The police have urged him to report to the Maypen Criminal Investigations Branch by 6 p.m. on Monday and are asking the public for information that may help to locate him. 2 policewomen were reportedly attacked with an ice pick in Port Antonio, Portland, and residents came to their aid. Donovan James, a 51-year-old mechanic, has been charged with assault and the possession of an offensive weapon. The incident happened when the officers were on foot patrol and were attacked by James near Ruby's service station. Despite being peppered spray, James continued to attack the policewomen, prompting one of them to pull and discharge her weapon, hitting James in the leg. The man was subdued by onlookers who held him and took the ice pick from him. He was subsequently charged and placed under police guard. Margarita Samuels, also known as Claudette, was shot and killed at her business establishment in Zion District, Hopewell, Hanover, on Sunday afternoon. 3 other people were injured in the attack by 3 men who posed as customers before opening fire and then fleeing the scene. The injured individuals have been admitted to hospital for treatment. Jamaican and the British Narcotics Police are investigating a suspected drug trafficking network between Jamaica and the United Kingdom, following the arrest of 4 British nationals and the seizure of almost $100 million worth of cocaine. 2 of the suspects were apprehended at Montego Bay's Sangsas International Airport with a large quantity of cocaine in their luggage, while another was found with 14 pounds of cocaine at the same airport. The police later conducted a raid on a house in St. Anne and a property in Pewsey Hill, Manchester, where the 2 British nationals were reportedly staying, but no one was arrested. All 4 men are expected to be charged this week. Dancehall artist Camera Icon, also known as Sauce Boss, has been arrested in Florida and charged with grand theft, a 3rd-degree felony. The arrest was made on May 5, according to public records in Broward County. Icon gained popularity with his hit song So Saucy in 2019, which was followed up by Talk Bout. He has also been an ambassador for Digicel and Pizza Hut. In business, Jamaica's export earnings in 2022 reached over US $1.9 billion, representing a 28.4% increase over the same period in 2021. There was a significant rise in the export of mineral fuels. Domestic exports increased by 6.7%, but were lower than 2019 due to lower alumina exports. Re-exports were valued at US $534 million, a significant increase compared to 2021 and 2019. Jamaica's trade deficit fell to a low of US $5.8 billion, and the top 5 destinations for exports were the US, Puerto Rico, the Russian Federation, the UK, and Canada. Meanwhile, expenditure on imports rose by 29.5% to US $7.73 billion, mainly due to higher import of raw materials, fuels, and consumer goods, with the top trading partners being the US, China, Brazil, Trinidad and Tobago, and Japan. In the region, the United States Coast Guard, in collaboration with the Caribbean Corridor Strike Force agents, has seized 901 pounds of cocaine in Puerto Rico after intercepting a vessel in the Caribbean Sea. 3 Dominican Republic nationals were arrested and are facing U.S. federal prosecution for a conspiracy to possess with intent to distribute a controlled substance. The Coast Guard detected a suspect go-fast vessel during a patrol and, with the assistance of a Coast Guard maritime patrol aircraft, stopped the vessel and recovered 12 bales of suspected contraband that tested positive for cocaine. On the international scene, authorities are investigating the possibility of far-right links in the shooting incident that killed 8 people, including children, at a Dallas shopping mall. The attacker was shot dead by a police officer. Investigators are now examining his social media activity to determine his beliefs. The attacker wore an insignia linked to hate groups during the attack. 6 people died on the scene, while 2 died in the hospital. 3 people, aged 5 to 61, are still receiving treatment in the hospital. And in sports, Khadija Shaw has been named the 2022 CONCACAF Women's Player of the Year. Shaw played a vital role in the Reggae Girls' qualification for the Women's World Cup for the second consecutive cycle, and scored 15 goals in 19 league games for her club, Manchester City, helping them to win the League Cup. She is the first Caribbean player to win the award. That is it for your news roundup for today. We would appreciate you liking this video, leaving a comment, and sharing the video with your family and friends. Have a good evening, and see you next time.
Teach them! Hey, yo, hello! Send the message and make it reach them. It's teach them. Right here, Warlord representing.
Thank you for watching. Like the video before you go. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. And remember to share the video with your friends and family. And browse the channel for more quality content. Until next time, walk good, my friends.
Teach them!